Hello quilting friends, I am Luis Sanchez. I am a hobbyist quilter from San Jose, Costa Rica. I also have a YouTube Spanish quilting channel that you can visit anytime, where I teach how to quilt and craft in Spanish. This month is February, so it's the love and friendship month. So for that friendship, we've teamed up with Leah and we came up with this design. This is a baby-sized quilt with this block. And so I'm going to teach you how to make the block and this baby quilt, and Leah will teach you how to quilt it. Here in the information tab, you can find the link to her video. This is the block that she quilted. You can see how amazing she is and all the designs that she quilted here. And I think she used a walking foot here. So this is really amazing. I love the way she quilts. I love how she is with free motion quilting. She's such an artist. So please visit her channel, and if you haven't subscribed, please do it. She teaches lots of things. So well, for the baby quilt, we are making only 4 blocks. The block is a 15.5 size block, so it's a pretty big block. It has a lot of pieces, but it's not that complicated. The block came to me like a serendipity block because I wasn't aiming for that particular block at the first. I was making a disappearing pinwheel, and then I cut it the wrong way, and instead of making a pinwheel, I made an hourglass block. And then I had all my pieces and I said, okay, this is not working. So I rearranged them and I came up with several variations that you can see here. And they were different every time I rearranged the block. So the one I liked the most was this one. So I called it Serendipity Stars because it resembles some sort of star. And well, let's learn how to do it. Here, for the baby size quilt, we're gonna need 1.5 yards of our contrasting fabric, 1.5 yards of our neutral fabric, and about 1.5 yards of our backing fabric. What I've done with my fabrics is that I cut 8 squares from the background fabric and 8 squares from the contrasting fabric. And I'm going to take one of each. I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to place them right sides together in this way. What I'm going to do is half square triangles blocks. So I'm taking my ruler and I'm drawing a diagonal line across this square. I'm using a friction pilot so you can see the line I drew. Okay, here you go. Now what I'm gonna do is you can take some pins and put them along the line you draw. Just 2 of them. Turn it. Place again 2. And we're gonna sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance along each of the sides of the line, here and here. Once you have your block sewn 1/4 inch to each side of the line, you're gonna cut it right in the center in the line you drew. You can do it with scissors, you can do it with a rotary cutter, whatever you feel comfortable with. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it and open it up. And we're gonna take our seams and with our fingernails, we're gonna press the seam open to both sides. So, just like scratching, but we have to be careful. Since this is in the bias, we don't want to stretch our fabric. Okay? Just be gentle. We're gonna do this with both of the pieces. Okay? So we open our seams. These are the seams that are gonna be in the center. So we want them open in order to get the best accuracy of our blocks and also it will help reducing the bulk. Okay, I have both of them this way. Now what I'm gonna do is I am taking them and I'm placing the contrasting fabric to the background fabric and the background fabric here to the contrasting fabric over there. Okay, I'm matching the seams, the corners, and all the block. Okay, now I'm gonna draw a line in the other direction, the other diagonal, just in the center from corner to corner. And after pinning, what I'm gonna do is repeat the steps, sewing 1/4 of an inch to each of the sides. Once again, we're gonna cut in the center like this. And I will finger press my seams open once more. Okay. Just like scratching our fabric, being gentle. What we're gonna get is 2 hourglass blocks like this. Okay. For each block, we're gonna need 4 of this. Okay, so I'm gonna make 2 more and we'll be back. I'm gonna press them and I'm gonna show you how to reassemble them, cutting them to make my star block. Once we have trimmed our 4 blocks to 9 inches, we're gonna cut them, and we're gonna cut them into 9 pieces. We're gonna divide the length into 3. So in this case, since my blocks are 9 inches, we're gonna cut them to 3 inches. So we're gonna take the 3-inch line mark, we're gonna cut, and again from the side, the 3-inch line mark. 1, 2, 3. Better count twice and cut once. Be sure not to screw up. Then we are turning our rotating mat and we're doing the same thing, cutting at the 3-inch line mark. Okay, I'm cutting all the 4 blocks here. You can for sure do them one by one so you get whatever you are comfortable working with. Okay, so once I have my 9 pieces of each block, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rearrange them. Okay, here they are, and I'm gonna take, okay, first of all, I'm gonna take my center and I am going to put the diagonals, and I'm gonna put one here in this way, and I'm gonna put the other one going down. Okay, so we have our center and we're pointing up and down with these diagonals. Now we are taking a contrasting fabric and placing them in this corner and in this corner. You can check the diagram so you don't get confused, and we're gonna put the solids on the corners too. Now we're taking this solid and put it in this way, okay, and this other one this way. Okay, so this is our basic block and we're going to do 4 of them. Now we have rearranged them this way. We're going to sew, and what we're going to do, we're going to sew these 3 together, then this 3, then this 3, and then we're going to sew along as we sew any 9 patch we always do. As you see, what I'm doing here is I am chain piecing what am I doing? What I'm doing is that I have here my block as I cut it before, and I'm taking first these two rows and I'm then sewing them together, taking the center one to the left one and sewing it in this way, like so. Once I sew this one, I'm taking these two ones, putting them together and sewing them, and then I will continue along until I finish all these two first rows, and then at the end I will go back to my first square, and here, as you see, this is these two ones. I'm gonna attach the third one over here, and then I will have rows of 3, which then I will sew horizontally to make a 9 patch. I have finished all my 3 rows, and now I'm gonna cut them in threesomes like this, because in this case, when I have it this way, when I open it, then I have my complete block. I'm finger pressing my seams in a way that they will interlock once I am stitching them. I'm taking the first row to the outside, the second to the inside, and the third to the outside. And now what I have to do is just take these 2 rows, sew them, and then add this one, and I'll have my complete block. I will repeat this with all my chain pieced blocks, and then we will assemble our quilt. Once we have our 4 9-patch blocks, we will have 4. We're going to arrange them in a way that we're going to leave, this is the lowest left corner, so we're going to take and put one up, turn it 90 degrees. We take the other 2 to the right and turn it 90 degrees. And the last one, we take it down and turn it 90 degrees. In this way, there you go. You can see this star formed at the center of my block. And so this is almost the finished block. Now what we have to do? All we have to do is we have to sew these 4 blocks together to make one big block. This is like sewing a regular 4-patch. We just sew these 2 together first, then these 2 together, and then we sew both pieces. And here we go. After we sew our 4 blocks together, we get this giant block, which is about 15.5 inches. And as I said before, I pressed always my center seams here and here open, so they reduce bulk, because instead we would have here a big bulk of seams, and that's not good. So we have here our finished block, and I'm gonna make 4 of them to make my baby quilt, because this is a big block and you might see many pieces, but it's very quick and easy to do because you don't have to cut every piece. For example, here you could take a half square triangle, square block, here a small hourglass, but as you saw, we just made a big hourglass and then we cut and rearrange, so it's easier. Okay, now we're gonna make 4 and we're gonna put together our baby quilt. Once we have our 4 blocks, we're gonna arrange them just like a giant 4-patch in this way. And again, we are sewing this one to this one, right to left, and then top to bottom. And by now we will have the center of our quilt finished. And here we have our quilt top already assembled. And what we have to do now is to make our borders. It ended up about 30 inches in every length. So we're gonna cut for every border just the width of the fabric. We are taking 4 1.5 neutral fabric strips, 4 1.5 contrasting fabric strips, 4 4.5 neutral fabric strips, and 4 2.5 contrasting strips for our binding. And so what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take the neutral color, which is gonna be our first borders, and we're gonna sew it on each of the sides of our quilt top. Now I already sewed my 4.5 outer borders. First the 2 sides. Now I'm gonna iron them to the outside, and I will cut the excedent fabric. I will cut it to align it, and then I will attach the other 2 borders and then trim it again. And here we have it. This is the finished baby quilt. I hope you like it. And if you want to make the queen size or this one, you can find the PDF in the description of the video, where I give all the instructions, all the cutting measurements, and all the fabric requirements that you need to make this.